Hi everybody, I'm Jared Pike. This is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, July 2nd. On today's show, we show you what kind of TV you need to get the most out of the upcoming digital TV system. Jack Hubbard will tell us about his USO encounter with Bob Hope. And we'll also talk to some Shell Point couples who take advantage of the adult daycare service offered on the first floor of the Larson Pavilion. But first, seeing as Thursday is July 4th, we're exploring the history of the United States from many different angles this month, including the artistic angle. American art has gone through many stages, from colonial to contemporary. We have an art history expert, Dottie Megan, coming to Shell Point for 3 weeks in July to guide us on the journey. The first American art history class takes place tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands, with 2 more classes on the following 2 Wednesdays. To sign up, call the Island Service Desk at 454-2282 or the Woodlands Service Desk at 454-2054. Now, you should also have your tickets for our Independence Day celebration taking place Thursday, July 4th at 2 p.m. in the church auditorium. It's a USO theme with live World War II music and free desserts. We asked our residents to share some of their own memories of the USO, and Jack Hubbard told us how close he got, actually coordinating a Bob Hope Christmas special while stationed in Canada. Here's the whole story.
I lived in Hollywood, California in the 30s, mid-30s and late 30s. And I used to caddy at a golf course where Bob Hope played. It was called Lakeside, and I even have a card that I saved all this time, all these years. Lakeside Golf Club. I saw him also perform on radio programs in Hollywood there, and I used to see him in the Pepsodent show.
How lovely it was.
And then the Goose Bay, Labrador, when I was stationed there in 1960, they were going to have the Bob Hope show. And I was on the board of governors of the Officers Club. So somehow the base commander said, well, why don't we get Hubbard to be the project officer for this, And so I became the project officer and his personal escort officer, both. And this is quite an undertaking, it really was, because this is quite an operation that people don't realize what goes into preparing and making the show happen, like the Bob Hope show. I had to wake him up in the morning, and we'd all have breakfast together. Jerry Colonna, Les Brown. This is quite a treat to have that opportunity to be with him. The people with the show, the principals, Jane Mansfield, and they'd have somebody lace up the back of her dress or zip it up, whatever, to fit, to get into them. They were that tight. Dorothy Provine, you might remember Dorothy Provine. She was a movie star, and I got to dance with Dorothy Provine and some of the others, and Anita Bryant, and then Miss World. She was from England, and she was really a knockout, really pretty girl. They had converted a hangar with a huge stage and had about 2,000 people. They filmed for 7.5 hours to get a 42-minute Christmas show. We all had to have these Bob Hope, it says Bob Hope Show, Goose Air Base, Christmas 1961. Actually, that was about 50 years ago. Before he left, Bob Hope gave me a watch fob, I guess that's what you call it. I've kept this, as a reminder of that wonderful time. Bob Hope gathered all the girls together one day, and they're going to visit the hospital. And in a very nice way, he laid the law down. He said, you're not going to go in there and just say hello and walk away. You're going to sit down, you're going to talk to each one. And he would go in and spend literally several hours in the hospital. He would sit down and he'd talk to them and talk to them and talk to them. And I admired him so much for that. I get tears in my eyes thinking about how serious he took the troops. Although born in England, he was a great American.
We have more USO stories coming all this week. So stay tuned to Shell Point TV. Meanwhile, we have 2 fascinating behind-the-scenes tours at Shell Point that you can sign up for. Last month, we introduced you to the managers of facility operations. And now, it's time to tour their facilities. The Shell Point Call Center is the home of the One Call Does It All girls and will be open for guided tours next week, July 9th, 10th, and 11th. And then, the week after, Joseph Julmius will be showing you through the industrial-size laundry facilities located in the tunnel. Those tours take place on July 16th, 17th, and 18th. Now, these are all free tours, but keep in mind, you do need to sign up for a specific day. So, look at your schedule, look at Shell Point Life magazine, and then call the service desk to reserve your spot for either the call center or the laundry. Now, there's one big change happening behind the scenes this summer, the switch to digital TV. All of Shell Point will be affected. So, if you have an older TV, you need to take action, or else you'll be left in the dark after August 13th. I talked to Peter Burt about what kind of television sets will work with the new digital TV broadcasts. Hi everybody, it's Jared Pike and Peter Burt here with Shell Point TV. We are guiding you through the digital TV transition, which is happening here at Shell Point. And Peter, just briefly, again, we're transitioning the way we broadcast TV. When is the date that a big switchover is going to happen?
The date's going to happen very late in the evening or night of August 13th. That's a Tuesday.
Tuesday night, old signal. Wednesday morning, new signal. And the basics are, if you have a newer TV like this one, you should be okay, generally. If you have an older TV like this one, it's not going to happen. It's not going to accept the new signal. Now, we're going to do a little basic education here, the difference between a digital TV and an analog TV. First of all, just the physical shape of it. In fact, Dan, if you can come around and kind of look at the thickness, this we call it a flat screen because it's flat. The depth of the screen is very, very small, so much so that you can hang it on a wall or put it on a coffee table or
TV stand?
A TV stand. They're very light, they're very flat, they're very versatile. Whereas a TV like this one, even though it's small, it's got this big lump on the back of it, and it's heavy. Oh, you don't want to lift it up, it's too heavy. It's got this glass screen on it. So that's the first and biggest difference, is the physical size. Now, another big difference is the shape. If you look at this old school TV, it's kind of a square-shaped screen. But the newer TVs have this rectangular shape, almost a widescreen cinema-like shape. And it's very important. Most modern television programs are filmed with this wide screen in mind. So if you have a small TV like this, you either get black bars at the top and bottom, or sometimes it's cut off. For example, we're watching ESPN right now, and the scores and highlights that are here, many times, if you have an old school TV, you wouldn't be able to see it. So that's why having a widescreen TV is important with digital TV. Now, Peter, another point that I'm sure our residents are very interested in is the cost, because the time was when television was a piece of furniture and it would cost thousands. But tell us about the cost of TVs nowadays.
Well, TVs are one piece of technology where the prices actually come down. When digital TV first came out back in 2007, the TVs were quite pricey, and they have come down quite a bit. For example, you can buy a 32-inch digital TV at Walmart now for under $200.
So, whereas televisions used to be thousands of dollars, now they're just hundreds of dollars, and they're much bigger.
And they're better.
They're bigger, better, and this one I think is 42 inches. You don't need this size TV in your house unless you want to, but you can go bigger. It's completely up to you. But TVs are very economical. So that's one of the reasons why we delayed this transition, is so that people can still get use out of a small one like this. Right. But now the price point is such that it makes sense.
And we knew the price would come down over time. So.
Right. So TVs are new, they're cheap, they're digital, and the signal also is much, much better. There's going to be no more static. Static will be a thing of the past. It's either completely on or completely off. And so, all things considered, I think it's time to retire.
It's time.
These TVs. Now, in a pinch, if you really, really want to hold on to your old school TV, we have these converter boxes. Tell us about these.
These will be available through ShellPoint. We're going to pass them along at our cost, which is $100. We're buying them in bulk, so we're getting actually a very good price on them. We'll come out and set them up if need be. To order one, you want to call the call center and have the order put in so that they can send you the paperwork. You can get a hold of them at the One Call Does It All number at 454-2190.
So if people still want to hang on to these old school TVs, they can do it.
They can.
But they'll have to buy a $100 converter box.
Right.
And they can do that by calling the call center, 454-2190. So folks, you've seen the comparisons between old school TV and new school. This is coming to ShellPoint August 13th. So I think it's time. If you haven't gotten a widescreen TV like this, I think now's the time. So again, if you have any questions about this transition, call the call center, 454-2190. For ShellPoint TV with Peter Burt, this is Jared Pike. Now, if you're still confused about what kind of TV is right for you, well, we've got an event coming up that will offer hands-on help. Bill Smith Appliances and Electronics in Fort Myers is bringing a selection of TVs to ShellPoint so that you can personally judge the size of each one and find out which one is right for you. You can even order one right on the spot, although there will be no pressure to do so. This free event with Bill Smith Appliances will take place next Tuesday, July 9th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Manatee Room on the island. Again, if you have any questions about this digital TV transition, call the ShellPoint call center at 454-2190. Now, we'd like to take a moment to talk to you caregivers out there. If your spouse has a condition that requires you to be a caregiver, well, you know that it's a 24/7 job. But even caregivers occasionally need a few hours off to keep their own well-being intact. Well, that's why we offer an adult daycare service provided by Hope Healthcare on the first floor of the Larson Pavilion. At the club, as they call it, your loved one can enjoy a whole day of respite care in a safe, nurse-staffed environment with activities, socialization, and even lunch. This allows caregivers to run errands or do some shopping, or just spend some worry-free time alone or with friends. All of this for just $45 for a half day or $80 for a full day. We asked some ShellPoint couples why they utilize the adult daycare service.
I heard about it. I have a neighbor, Bob Savage, whose wife had Alzheimer's, and when it was opened, I was the first one at the door, and we signed up. Have been absolutely thrilled with it. It has been a marvelous benefit for both Glen and me. We call it the club. We like the name the club, and Glen was an officer in the Marine Corps. He's used to going to the club. He was checking the view, seeing if there were any manatees or dolphins in the lagoon. He turned on the TV. They play games such as Scrabble and Hangman. He loves having lunch at the club. Glen likes to dine, not eat. And the staff there is trained to serve their table one course at a time. They're not rushed. They're encouraged to laugh and talk and enjoy their meal. And from what I hear from so many, they truly love that lunch. They come for that. Another great advantage to the club is its camaraderie. There are times when a resident will wake up and say, I don't feel like going this morning. And the spouse might say, but you'll disappoint Glen. I don't want to disappoint Glen. And they'll get up and go. It gives him some independence from me. He's on his own. I'm not leading the way at all. I don't see him for 4 hours. The first day he went, I've told others, I bought everything from bras to food. I had so much to do in that 4 hours, and I wanted to make it pay. Now I can do my needlework, or I can read, or I can call my sister in Pittsburgh, and we talk every day, so I have time now for me.
I have appointments that I have to go to no matter what, and I can call them when they're here and say, is it all right if I bring Bill in for an hour, 2 hours, whatever I may need, and I've been able to do that. Bill also is more alert when he's home after he's been to the club, and he's very sociable, likes people. Sometimes I have to wait for him to finish playing the games before we can leave. So, and they enjoy the food and the snacks and the camaraderie, and it's given me more freedom, and he does enjoy it. And I think some people should take advantage of it and try it. I know a lot of people, when I look at them, I think, why don't you just give yourself a break? Like going to the store. So you do like to have that time to yourself where you can do that. I had the experience with my own parents, and we decided that we weren't going to put our children through this type of thing. So we were already looking for a place like Shell Point. So we're very happy here.
If you'd like to take advantage of the adult daycare service at Shell Point, Hope has a toll-free number you can call, 1-855-454-3102. After some paperwork and a TB test, you'll be ready to go. And you'll be amazed at the cost. It's just $45 for a half day, or $80 for a full day. They also offer plans by the hour if you just need a little bit of time. Once again, the adult daycare service is open on the Larson Pavilion first floor every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And you can learn more by calling 1-855-454-3102. Now, it's time to cover all of Tuesday's happenings from Resort Services, followed by your Academy News, menus, and Village Church connections.
Welcome to the Happenings segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Suzanne Zavada, and I'm here with Bev Chanley. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, and we're going to go over everything happening at Shell Point today. The morning will start off at 7:15 with the Health Connections Bend, Breathe, and Balance in the Health Club on the island. At 8 o'clock, the Round Robin Men's Doubles Tennis Group will meet out at the tennis courts at the Woodlands. And at 8:15, the Stamp Ministry will be in the Stamp Room on the island. As always, volunteers are welcome. At 9:15, the Caregiver Support Group Therapy and the Memory Care Group will be meeting on the second floor of the Rehab Center on the island. Sign up is required. Also at 9:15, we have open painting in the Art Studio on the island, and we have shuffleboard out at the Shuffleboard Courts on the island. At 9:30, the Match Play Mixed Doubles Tennis Group will be out at the tennis courts at the Woodlands. And at 10:15, we have the Through the Bible Bible Study Group meeting in the Osprey Room on the island. By 10:30, we have the Caregiver Support Group Therapy and the Memory Care Group meeting in the second floor Rehab Center on the island, and sign up is required. That's it for the morning. Now let's go to Bev for our afternoon.
Thank you, Suzanne. We're going to start the afternoon at 12:30 with Mixed Progressive Bridge. That'll be played in the game room of the Woodlands. Then we move to 1:15. The Knitters Group will be in the Osprey Room. Also at 1:15, the Rollicking Recorderists will be down in the Tarpon Room practicing. And then the Women's Prayer Group will be in the Hospitality Room of the Village Church, also at 1:15. At 6:45, we have the Hymn Sing. That's going to be in the Resident Activities Center. Well, that concludes our lineup for today, Tuesday, and we'll see you back here for Wednesday.
Hello, I'm Terry Coleth with your Academy information for Tuesday, the 2nd of July. At 9:15, Developing Skills on Windows 7 continues in the Computer Teaching Center on the island. And at 10 o'clock, the History of the United States to 1815 will take place in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. Sign up is required, and you can sign up right at the door. Tomorrow, we have an American Art Colonial to Contemporary Art History class being provided by Dottie Megan. Sign up is required. An Academy on the Go, all aboard to the Naples Depot Museum, and dinner at the Watermark Grill will also take place tomorrow. I'd like to tell you about the Pavilion Auxiliary for just a moment. I hope you'll look on page 4 of the weekly reminder and look at some of the numerous opportunities to get involved with the auxiliary, serving the residents in our Larson Pavilion. To reserve your spot in the next orientation on Friday, July 26th, just call 454-2272, leave a message, and a confirmation will be mailed to you.
Menus for Tuesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is Maryland crab cakes with asparagus and boiled red potatoes. For dinner, it's the Build Your Own Stir Fry Bar for $11.95, and the soup of the day is chicken and white bean chili. In the Island Cafe for lunch, enjoy a tuna melt with coleslaw and onion rings for $6.95. For dinner, the special is charred pork loin with cherry sauce, red potatoes, and green beans for $7.95. Dinner specials on the Palm Grill on Tuesday are grilled pork chop for $14.95 or seared scallops for $17.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, a senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here with Tim Stephenson, who's of the Legacy Foundation here at the Shell Point Retirement Community. But Tim, you're not here to talk about legacy kinds of things, except in the grandest sense, right?
That's exactly right.
That's right. So we are here because you're going to be teaching one of our Christian Life Studies classes beginning in July, and it's about heaven. So tell us a little bit about the class.
Well, it's been about a year ago that I was approached and asked if I would teach a class.
Yes.
And I thought, yeah, that'd be fun.
Just any class?
Any class.
Yeah.
Will you teach? And I said, sure. So I began to pray and check my own heart and just think in terms of what would be enjoyable and helpful. Mm-hmm. And about 6 months or so ago, I realized, okay, this is coming if you're not preparing for it. And I happened at the time to be reading a book about heaven, and I thought, what better subject to begin to more formally research and just make that the topic. And so I decided, hey, let's teach on heaven. And I think it would be good for me to do that kind of a study. But I think it'd be good for our community as well.
Absolutely. And you know what strikes me about this, and this seems really odd as a pastor of a Bible-believing church, yes, and maybe you've seen this as well, is that we really don't talk about this very much in the church.
We really don't, and I'm disappointed, but I think I understand it from a cultural point of view. You know, my perception is that we live in an age right now where the emphasis is, from the pulpit and at our reading, we want a good life. C.S. Lewis wrote, aim at heaven and you get earth thrown in. Aim at earth, you get neither. And I think there is a barrenness, maybe. I don't want to overstate that, but I think there's in some ways a barrenness to the wonderful life that we have. And that might be connected to the fact that we've lost our focus just a little bit on eternity and on heaven. We live with, I think, what an earlier generation, maybe a different culture, would have perceived as heaven on earth already.
That's right.
And it can keep us from longing for more. One of the early impressions I have as a young Christian, still a teenager, was when my pastor recounted having been in a conversation with a businessman about eternity, and in that case, the second coming. And the topic came up, well, how do you feel about the second coming? And the businessman said, it would be the most inconvenient thing of all. And it helped frame for me, as much as I'm engaged in what I do, as much as I love life, as much as I enjoy the blessing of God, I never want to become so detached from eternity that I would think of that as being an interruption or an inconvenience.
It's like I've heard some people say that everybody wants to go to heaven, but just not now.
Yeah, nobody wants to go today. Yeah, and I think there's a country song about that. It has to be, but it's true, and I think there is legitimately born within us this incredible desire for life. And talking about heaven, I don't think denies that. I don't think I have to say, well, I'm so in love with heaven that I don't want to live. Or conversely, I don't want to say, well, I want to live, so there must be something wrong with me. No. When I read the Scriptures, I find there is within us, born within us, a desire to live, a desire to be fruitful, a desire for joy, enjoyment even. And yet, I think when we frame that in the larger context, that even the best, the Scriptures say, the best of what we have here can't even compare with what God has ready for us when we meet Him face to face. Well, that's going to change life here when I frame it in that kind of context. Exactly. So it won't be just a book study about a couple books that I read. It will be a book study born in the Scriptures. I represented one of the things that I wrote. It's going to be a little bit of a travelogue of what God has prepared for us, but it'll be based in the Scriptures, and we'll use some other outsources or other resources that will help us do the illustrations. But it'll be born in the Scriptures. It should be a fun journey.
Yeah. Well, it sounds fantastic, and we're looking forward to it. So thank you, Tim, for joining us today. And thank you for joining us on Village Church Connections, and we hope to see you soon.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow as we visit the UPS room, whose volunteers are always ready to address your shipping needs. We'll also find out who at Shell Point was born on the 4th of July. And we'll learn how Charlotte Stemple found herself in Bob Hope's USO show in Vietnam. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, July 2nd. I'm Jared Pike, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.